Hello, everyone, and welcome to Child Abuse Awareness with Darlene J. Clark. Be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Please like, subscribe. Uh-oh. Yeah, mute that TV video on my phone. Sorry. Welcome to my channel. Please like, subscribe, and share. Channel is about trying to get the word out on different aspects of child abuse, what's going on in different parts of the world or United States. Try to get awareness for our children. Be a voice for the voiceless. In Matthew 18, verse 6, but whoso shall offend one of these little ones, which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. In Matthew 18, verse 10, take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones which believe in me. Oh, one of these little ones, for I say unto you, that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. Colossians 3:21. Fathers, do not embitter your children, or they will become discouraged. In Proverbs 28, verse 5, it said, evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Lord understand all things. In Isaiah 1:17, learn to do right. Seek justice. Defend the oppressed. Take up the cause of the fatherless. Plead the case of the widow. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofits, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. A lot of people say, well, you need to make sure to share about your book, promote it some way. So I think I'll go ahead and share that so people do know that I do have a book out there. It's at Amazon. It is Shattered Innocence. Here's how the cover stopped the cycle of abuse. Darlene J. Clark. That's actually me when I was about in the 6th grade. You can see the hurt child, what they had done. And that's at Amazon. To let y'all know. So today, I thank my friend for bringing awareness about what's going on in Hawaii. There's so much that's just wrong with the picture here. I hope that y'all's able to see the screen. And make sure to StreamYard. Get over here to. First I wanted it like that, and then I wanted it like that. How's everyone doing? I hope you're doing good. So the first thing that we see here, and we give credit where credit is due here. So it's pretty interesting where they had different articles. So Tuesday, this was written November the 8th, 2011, by Andrew Walden. The so-called Highness Rita Kulamika Makiku, Royal Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Hawaiian Kingdom government, is still occupying a section of Aulani Palace grounds. And if you're Hawaiian, I'm glad you're doing good, Eric. But after pleading no contest in October the 15th to charges that she abused and tortured 5 Hawaii foster children, Makeku is carrying another title, convicted felon. This hasn't dissuaded the HKG group for continuing to illegally occupy state property, and they seemed unfazed by the contradiction between claiming to uphold Hawaiian rights and abusing Hawaiian children. I need to get back on there to StreamYard and make sure to put the banner up of the trigger warning. Here we go. Is that going across the screen? Can y'all see it going across the bottom of the screen? Okay, so according to the Star Bulletin on November 22nd, Michaela Ku's acts of abuse against her sister's children included hitting their heads with knives and cans of dog food, their fingers with metal and wooden spoons, and their mouths with a hammer. Prosecutors described the conditions as a house of torture. I'm gonna have to write that down. It said Sue Makiko's acts of abuse. I'm gonna write her name down as a further check into that case. That's what I'm doing as I'm going through these. I will break it down and get more in depth with some of these cases. All right. It says House of Torture. Make sure to put that down. And it said that she is Highness Rita Kulam. It looks almost like there's a I right there almost Ka Royal Minister. I can't believe she's a Royal Minister of Foreign Affairs. You gotta think of that. She's a Royal Minister of Foreign Affairs of Hawaiian Kingdom government. Okay, Michaela's group has support among Hawaii's elite. In February 28, 2008 letter, Honorary Vice Consul in Italy in Hawaii, Carmen D. Amorcia, purported to grant the Hawaii Kingdom Government Group recognition by the government of Italy. The letter was addressed to Makeko. I think I'm gonna look up that girl's name right there. Honorary Vice Consul. See if she's got anything on her too. Of Italy. Carmen D. Because a lot of time when we go to do these investigations and these stories to get the word out, they back others people up that does the same kind of stuff. We know that. The HFP contacted Demorcia to see if her attitude changed after the court sentenced Makeko to 5 years imprisonment. Her response: I'm no longer honorary vice consul of Italy in Honolulu thanks to that letter and your inquiries. I'd like to blame you, but I take full responsibility for all that happens to me. You better take responsibility. Speaking to Hawaii Free Press, May 5, 2008, Luca Ferrari, Italian embassy spokesperson, had explained, if this letter is authentic, she is not acting within the authority of her office. These are personal opinions to the extent that she is representing them as an opinion of an Italian government. That is certainly the big problem. To write in it on official Italian stationery as representing the Italian government is unacceptable. Prior to its 1893 overthrow, the Hawaiian Kingdom had relations with numerous foreign countries, including the July 22, 1863 treaty with Italy. The Hawaii Republic, which resulted from the overthrow of the monarchy, was granted diplomatic recognition by Italian King Umberto I, September 23, 1894. As for the current policy, Mr. Ferrari explained, the Italian government does not recognize any kingdom of Hawaii whatsoever. We have no relationship. Our relationship is with the United States. As far as we are concerned, Hawaii is one of 50 states. Not surprisingly, there is a UH Manoa connection, as D. Amorcia explained last May. The basis for my opinion in the acknowledgment letter that I wrote is based upon my knowledge that in an article that I assisted in writing in law school and my understanding of international law. The article is authored by John M. Van Dyke, Carmen D. Morcia, and Gerald W. Berkeley, Coates Self-Determination for Non-Self-Governing Peoples and for indigenous, indigenous, hello, good morning, Chris, peoples. The cases for Guam and Hawaii. Asked others, she is still proud, she explains. I never met the woman I addressed the letter to. I do not think I ever will because I do not run in her circles. So let's get past the sovereign stuff right here. But prosecutors demanded Makoko receive a 41-year sentence, but continuing a pattern of coddling sovereignty criminals. Circuit Court Judge Virginia Crandall gave her only 5 years and then allowed her to remain free on bail to continue spreading sovereignty propaganda. The basis for Makoko's appeal, she claims to not be under U.S. jurisdiction. Wow. So Hawaii's elites failed to do their job against the sovereignty criminals is what leads to the police not doing their jobs. But the sovereignty activists are needed to provide an excuse for the passing of the AKA bill. I'm not going to go as far as that, but there's no excuse for abusing these children that she did. Like I said, she had charges she abused and tortured 5 Hawaiian foster children. See, here's what she did. I will say that again. Makoko's acts of abuse against her sister's children included hitting their heads with knives and cans of dog food, their fingers with metal and wooden spoons, and their mouths with a hammer. So, excuse me, I'm trying to get away with whatever, right? Okay, so I'm trying to get back to where I was over here. So now then there's Hanabusa. I'm not going to go over there. It's the state of Hawaii. So here's where they were sued for shortchanging foster parents and children. A federal class action lawsuit challenges the state's persistent refusal to cover the real cost of caring for some of Hawaii's most disadvantaged and troubled children. This was in 2013. The class action lawsuit was filed today against the state of Hawaii for violating federal law by failing to pay foster parents enough to adequately care for the foster children in their homes. Longtime foster parent Raynette Nalani Achang filed a suit on behalf of all foster parents in the state who have been shortchanged because the state has failed to increase the payments since 1990. The Federal Child Welfare Act requires that reimbursements cover the expenses of children in foster care, but the $529 per month payment set by the state more than 20 years ago does not come close. Had the payment been adjusted for inflation, it would be over $950. The interest of the roughly 1,000 foster parents in Hawaii are being represented by the nonprofit Hawaii Appleseed Center for Law and Economic Justice. So this is where requests to raise the inadequate foster care payments have been under consideration by the Hawaii legislature since 2009. The Hawaii Department of Human Services, the state agency responsible for the foster care program, has repeatedly opposed an increase, claiming that it would cost too much. It costs too much to not increase the payment, says Hawaii Appleseed Executive Director Victor Gemini. Foster children are suffering because the state is not providing sufficient support. The consequences can last a lifetime in terms of the children's broken lives and the expensive state services required to support them down the road. Okay, so that was another other news story. Okay, so we go further down. So of course there's the food shelter and all that they have to take care of, right? So then the next one we go to boy's courage leads to investigation of former foster care. Foster parent 20-year term. This was in Maui News, February 8, 2014. So there's a lot of different stories that you're going to hear some that you have never heard about before or what. So the sexual molestations occurred from 2009 to 2011 during periods when Zach Morris had custody of the boys as a foster parents, said Deputy Prosecutor Kim Whitworth. She said Morris had moved from New York City to Maui in 2006, was familiar with the Child Protective Service system when he positioned himself to be a foster parent. Wow. He specifically targeted troubled and special needs children because he claimed he wanted to give them a loving and supportive environment, Whitworth said. He knew how to choose the most vulnerable victims. He chose the children who lost hope. Wow. Speaking in court Friday, the bisexual child molester Moore said, "We treat the problem instead of address it. Love is the answer to everything. The ideology of the molester. Learn from this." Whitworth said Morris did not state 1 ounce of responsibility, remorse, or apology. But that's expected, she said, because all he thinks about is I, and lie, lie, lie. She said one boy was victimized after his place with Morris in March 2009 after being kicked out of other foster homes. You mean you put another kid in the home too besides him? And you knew about it? What? That's your fault. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Whitworth said Morris groomed the boy, giving him shots of tequila until he passed out, then sexually molested him. The boy woke up with Morris on top of him. So let's go. Small bow is very powerful. It's probably right here. Oh, it's not found. Okay. So they're similar bisexual accused of sexual assault on 2 boys. Lawsuit mainland homosexual adopted molested them in Hawaii. Okay. Let me go back to where we were going at. So here's a video of Big Island hippie guru, alleged homosexual child molester. Boy supplied by DHS. Graham is to the far right. This is guess right here. News release from Snap, April 17, 2014. In an explosive new documentary, a former Big Island rancher now residing in Tampa, Florida, has been exposed as a serial child predator who used Hawaii social services to gain new victims. I'm gonna write that guy's name down. Gur, hippie guru J Ram, because I'm gonna further investigate him. Now, these victims are using a powerful new law to get justice, but after April 24th, the law expires and other older victims may lose their rights in the courts. Hey, Tammy. Love Surrender, a 29-minute documentary produced by Vice News out of New York, tells the story of former hippie guru Jay Ram. Vice News speaks with several of Ram's victims for the first time, many of whom came forward with accounts of sexual abuse, while charities and child welfare agencies continue to place children in Ram's care. I'm about to mute my mic, and then we'll go probably to YouTube and hear that out. So, because it's very important getting the word out about these different.
He's got nowhere to go. It's cul-de-sac.
Whoever was his favorite was the one who was pretty much being molested. I was ashamed of it, but it's not something I'm ashamed of anymore. He didn't just ruin my life, he ruined all my brothers' lives. He needs to be held accountable.
Today is about a man who lived here in Hilo for a number of years named Jay Ram. And Jay fostered and adopted boys in California and here in Hawaii. And then he took them to his ranch where he sexually abused them and used them as child slave labor. Now, many of these boys are...
This is Joelle Castix. She's an advocate for victims of sex abuse.
When you come forward publicly and you say that this happened to you, people look at you completely differently, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, because they see you as the strong, brave survivor that you are.
And she brought these brothers and their childhood friend together to find justice after decades of silence.
We didn't even discuss it amongst ourselves.
They say their adoptive father, a man once celebrated as a local hero, subjected them and many others to horrific abuse. And that from the beginning, state and social service agencies missed clear signs that something was very wrong. He was born Gary Winnick, but over the years he's gone by the names Wandering Eagle and Jay Ram. Since the early 1980s, he's been a foster parent and has had dozens of boys placed in his care. Ram was seen as an eccentric hippie, a charismatic guru, a savior of lost boys. No one ever questioned his motives or methods, and he's never been convicted of a crime. Today, he remains at large. So today we're on our way to Chico, California to meet with this guy who lived on Jay's farm back in the late 70s. And he was in his early 20s at the time. And he's been a little skittish, but we're hoping that he doesn't back out when we show up. But basically we're just hoping to talk to him and get him to tell us about his experiences on the farm and just give us a little bit more of a picture of Jay. In the end, he agreed to speak with us, but asked us not to use his name. We also bleeped out the name of an alleged victim that he mentioned. So let's start with the first time that you met Jay.
Well, then he was called Wandering Eagle, and this was in 1979 at the Whole Earth Festival in Davis. And at that time, I was on a weird raw food diet, and I had wheatgrass. And it was a kind of a drumming session or something at night, and I was passing it around, handing to people, and Jay Ram was there. And he looked like kind of a Greek god.
He was drawn to Jay Ram's charisma, and soon after meeting him, moved onto a farm Ram had bought outside Chico.
It was a commune. And the name of the commune was Love, Serve, and Surrender. So it had a very Eastern India bent to it, very popular at the time.
Trained Meher Baba has come from India with a message to the West.
Ram's adopted sons say he followed this man, an Indian guru named Meher Baba, who didn't speak for more than 40 years and claimed to be God in human form. Ram seemed to have similar ideas about himself.
Jay Ram would say, what's mine is mine, what yours is mine. And that would summarize the whole thing. I think that's what would summarize Jay Ram in total. Even with people, you know, they're mine.
So let's talk about when young men, young boys started appearing on the farm. When do you remember the first time that you saw a young person there?
Well, I think I was about 13 years old, came up from Santa Cruz, and the guy that brought him up in the pickup. He left but stayed.
And did that strike you as odd, or anybody else on the farm?
The thing about that place is everything there is different than the other reality, and so the changes were just accepted. There was no questioning. You just accept. There was no questioning. You just accept. And I think there is a misconception there. I've been reading newspaper articles about Jay and stuff like that. They call him homosexual, pedophile, everything like that. And he's really not. Turn left here.
Okay.
He would use sex as one of many controlling tools for people. A very deadly tool. The most deadly of his tools.
I asked him to bring me to the former site of Love, Serve, and Surrender.
Okay, we're past it. This is it.
It's in a stretch of farmland about 30 minutes outside Chico.
There's not much. Everything's changed. The only thing that's here is these almond trees and these olives. It's very serious crime that he's committed. And I think just the last week talking with you got me thinking about that.
And what is the crime that he's committed?
Well, sexual assault. Yeah, and that's the number one there.
And
yeah.
is that something that you witnessed with your own eyes?
Yeah, but you really wouldn't call it an assault because even that was here. I mean, he was a happy 13-year-old. And it wasn't like crying or anything like that. I saw him over the years, 7 years later, and he just seemed fine. The only thing is, I think it's a type of abuse where it affects you deeply, not superficially, but deeply.
One of the things that made you hesitate to speak with us on camera was the fear of judgment from others who would say to you, or just say about you, well, why didn't he do anything?
Right.
And what would you say to those people?
Well, like I said, it was a whole life very controlling and manipulative and a lot of pressure. I heard many times, go with the flow, you see. So on the outside, we're this altruistic society here, but in order to become part of this good thing, you need to go with the flow.
In 1986, a woman who also lived on the commune wrote a letter to local authorities accusing Ram of having sex with a boy who lived there. And she warned that, quote, "With this taking place, I can only assume there will be future victims." There was an investigation, but Ram was never charged. Around that time, Ram had been approved to be a foster father, and before long he was being referred a steady flow of boys. Many, like Carlos Ram, had been fleeing horrific abuse, in his case, at the